This is Jennifer Hale, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And, I should go.
The Santa this week continue all the way to episode 467 of Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And no offense to David Tennant and his favorite band, but I didn't walk 500 miles. I only walked about 14, and that's enough. Thank you. My feet hurt. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like a direct with the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Holly from Wisconsin. It's a duo tonight.
Yeah, and this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now that the storm has left, the crowds have dispersed. I like how they opened up the highway. They finished the highway construction that was diverting a lot of traffic. I'll talk about the traffic because that's a big talking point, but that caused a lot of kerfuffle for a lot of people, but they managed to finish it the last day of GenCon as people were leaving.
Thank goodness.
I mean, I guess, you know, if you're leaving was calm and quiet, but what about the rest of us?
I was clicking and following GenCon pages on Facebook and then following our site because I was like I was curious to see how things are going with certain things that I knew were going to be there and all this. I want to be in the know and then get the stuff from the horse's mouth who went there.
Mm-hmm.
One of these years, I'm never saying never, but one of these, or you know, trying to go down to Lake Geneva for one of those conventions, you know.
Yeah, but say you could always try to go to yeah,
that's what it's called.
Yep. So, but we'll get to all that fun stuff. Well, although we don't really have a lot in the way of news. Again, Fandom Christmas came and gone. Everything's calmed down a little. D23 Expo coming up very quickly. Things are hyping up for that. So we're in this weird in-between.
Calm before multiple storms.
Yes, calm before multiple storms. So I know Lou and Becky are getting very, running around like chickens with their head cut off, getting ready because they'll have a presence there. So, and I may or may not have gotten the deets on something that's going to be available come D23 Expo. But again, about that.
Nice.
Yes. Helps to know people.
Yes, it does.
That being said, a little bit of housekeeping. Latest episode of Gold Standard is now available in the feed. So I did GenCon all day and then proceeded to come home and do Gold Standard.
Oh my
and then crawl into bed and pass out and rinse repeat. Except the podcasting part. So yeah, we if you don't know, just by the title and or the image that Nick used, this is definitely a not safe for work and not safe for young ears.
Just make sure those earphones are completely tucked in and your volume is down to where you can hear it so nobody else can hear it with their headphones.
Yeah, because this is I mean it's a NC-17 movie for a reason. It is not family friendly by any means. So, but we had an interesting discussion talking about Showgirls. That's the movie. With Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell. And yeah. And this movie that has gone into infamy, really. And after all these years, how people look at it now compared to then. And I think people might be surprised at how we actually approach this one and our opinions on it. So I'm interested to hear what other people think. So I know Nick was very excited to do this one because this is one of his favorites. This was one of his picks. So, so there is that in the feeds for you. And then we are in a new month, so
Yes. Yeah.
that means book club updates, or in this case, book club reminders.
Yes, book club reminder. Our audiobook for this month is Corgis. I believe that can be found on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
I know Big Finish had a bit of a kerfluffle with new app and rollout. I think you should be okay by now because I waited till today to download and do the update on mine. Everything was there. So, or if you want to wait another week, you can still. And I like the automatic fact that it's dark mode.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the poll for September: Dark Eyes 2, Roof of the World, Celestial Toymaker, and then Shadows. Why did that cut off? There's a book by the name of I think it was maybe Shadows of Avalon.
Mm.
So that was, I think, a 7th or an 8th Doctor one that kind of ties into Battlefield.
Ah.
So, yes, cool. I will be putting up some of the other newer 9th Doctor books. Well, not 9th Doctor, but, 14th Doctor, Shruti, once I know for sure that physical copies can be found here stateside.
Actually, I think technically he's 15?
15, yes. 15, yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
and then by generation threw everything off.
Yeah. So, because I just want to make sure, because most of the stuff that's available for us stateside is the electronic versions, and I know sometimes with libraries they don't do the electronic right away, and they do physical. So it's just like, I'm getting there. They will be there.
Yeah.
I know books are coming out, so please be patient.
Yep.
And then same thing too with some of the audiobooks. It's just like, well, why don't you do these? And it's like, they're brand new. They just came out. I want to give people time who don't have access to the newer most current stuff. Taking into consideration.
Most of us are a little slow on things. We appreciate it.
You are very, very welcome.
Yeah. I'm lucky if I know what day it is half the time. So
you and me.
Yep. Oy. Alrighty then. So that's really it for the news for now. We do have some feedback from Shalane. Says, is it The Mandalorian becoming a movie? Well, we might find out at D23. Yes, I really hope we get some Mandalorian updates at D23 because
I'm missing me some.
Yes.
The baby.
Yeah.
I want some more Pedro Pascal, please and thank you.
Yeah, considering Pedro just posted, I think today, the Last of Us season 2. So.
Yay! Which reminds me, I have to go. If that's coming out and they're filming, I should probably go back and rewatch.
So, yeah. Still waiting for that Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah, please.
So, yeah, eventually the plan supposedly is that the Mandalorian will move into the Star Wars cinematic universe into a movie. But we are supposed to get that Mandalorian season 3, which as far as I know did get filmed, I think, or at least partially got filmed. But
Okay.
so
are there problems
we'll
in
see.
post, or they're
I
just holding,
I guess I think it was the strike.
or the strike? There is that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the strike. So, but yeah, I'm still kind of waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Please and thank you. So we'll see what happens at D23. So
It's my dogs, and they have something that they shouldn't. Drop it.
yeah,
Episodes now, please.
yeah.
Or some news.
Mm. She says also, I saw some things on social media about what was supposedly going to be announced at San Diego Comic-Con, but didn't. Well, we might find out at D23. She's talking about Marvel related stuff. Yeah, I mean, could be, possibly. You know, they may have kept a few Marvel things in the pocket just for, you know, fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I do expect it more to be Star Wars,
Yeah.
probably. So the Kang Dynasty storyline is canceled, and we get a new villain storyline in another universe, and Doom is going to be played by Robert Downey Jr., and Marvel is saved, and the strike worked. Well, I mean, the strike was for something completely different, but, yeah. I guess you could say the strike worked because it means everybody went back to work, and now we're getting this good stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as far as we know, they've not officially said that the Kang Dynasty has been canceled, but I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion for now.
Yeah.
Until they figure out what they're gonna do with that thing.
Yeah. That whole Hornets nest.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So, so also if King Dynasty was still going to happen, and Red Doctor Strange and Loki were so far the only characters going to be in it. Well, that wouldn't make it much of a Kang movie, but hey, why not? I think that would be hilarious. Doctor Strange and Loki together. Oh my.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. But so far for Avengers Doomsday, we only get Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts in that movie, Super Secret Wars. That will be the final movie for the multiverse saga that we know of. I read we're getting a mutant saga. Not sure if that's true. Possibly. Well, we'll find out next San Diego Comic-Con in a couple of years after Avengers Secret Wars. Yeah. Yes, because that'll be what Marvel's hyping for the next few years at San Diego Comic-Con. And probably get back to some of the Disney Plus stuff probably as well. So. Going back to D23, wondering if they'll talk about what's going to happen for the Young Avengers, if they'll still have a storyline, and see if they're getting a movie or TV show. Possibly. I think the Young Avengers are going to be at least somewhat involved in Doomsday and Secret Wars. So, because they're still calling it the Avengers, but of the OG Avengers, the only person we have left is Thor, who's like actually doing anything, you know. So, yeah, Clint's retired, and Bruce is off being whatever with his cousin, well, being a father, among other things. So, so there's that, and almost everyone else is dead. So, so yeah, we're gonna need some new Avengers. Although I imagine I'd imagine at least one, if not a few, of the Thunderbolts will switch sides. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of like this that we don't entirely know where it's going, to be honest with you. I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah, I love the era mystery.
Yep. So the best part was the Her Universe fashion show, and I heard they're going to be at D23, but not a fashion show. Yeah, no. Her Universe is likely going to have a merchandise booth with stuff for people to buy that's probably exclusive to D23. Which that's totally cool. I'm not jealous at all. So I bought 2 things from Her Universe, and I'm still saving money to get more, as you should, because Her Universe is awesome. I have several Her Universe pieces, and they're so cool. Thank you, Shalane, for your feedback as always. So, GenCon 2024 sold out show, completely sold out. And it felt like it. Honestly, it felt like it. I think the last time it sold out before the event started was the anniversary year, I believe. That was 2017, I think, or 2018, one of those two. So sometimes, some days, like the 4 days, the multiple days one and Saturday will sell out before, and you can still get like Friday and Sunday as a walk-up buying day of. But yeah, I don't know what it is about this particular year. I don't know if it's because it's the anniversary year for Dungeons and Dragons or what, that everyone was all like, yes, let's go to GenCon, and absolutely smother the city of Indianapolis. Thank you very much. So GenCon for me this year was a little different, because I did not have the option to park at my job and just walk because I don't work there anymore. I haven't since late last year. Thankfully I do have a new job, but it's not downtown. It's closer to where I live. So my biggest thing was figuring out where to park every day. Once I found a place to drop the car, everything else was hunky-dory. But here's the thing about Indianapolis. It's a blessing and a curse the way the city is laid out. And we talked about this a little bit when we were talking about the map and how the map is not oriented north, which please someone make sure that they fix that for the future. I had some days where it was just like, what direction are we looking here when I had it up on my phone? And
do I have a voice? Wait, no, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Thankfully, for the most part, I was only going between the convention center and the Marriott. So it was just like the convention center, Marriott, and they're connected. There's a walkway that connects the two, so that was nice. That being said, I, for a couple of different reasons, I was not able to get downtown early Thursday morning. Now, Wednesday night, I went downtown because I had gotten, because I go on a press badge. Again, thank you, GenCon, for allowing me to go, at least as far as getting in for free. Really appreciate it. But being a press, we get on all these lists. email lists that get sent out to the different companies, and I got invites to 2 separate private events that were happening the same evening and were slightly overlapping. So I was like, well, I mean, they're close enough to each other. It's like I can go to one and then leave and then go to the other, and I'll be fine. But I had to work first, so I worked all day and then proceeded to go downtown and find someplace to park, which thankfully Wednesday evening wasn't too bad. Other than it was close to rush hour, and while I'm trying to come into downtown to find a place to park, everybody who works downtown is trying to leave. And there's not only heavy construction on the highways, but also on several major downtown streets in and around the convention center. So much that I'm still not entirely sure what happened, but there was a company called Gate 10 that they owned. Yeah, they owned several lots downtown, on the far side of Lucas Oil. But they've been doing the parking for major events downtown for ages. Like, I've seen their sign. They've done parking for PopCon, Comic-Con, GenCon, Colts games, you name it. If it's happening downtown and it's going to have a lot of car traffic, they're right there. They're right there, because they're just big lots, big parking lots. They're not paved or anything, but still, they're big lots. They're fenced in. You can, for something like GenCon, you could buy parking for like all 4 days, and you could go in and out if you needed to, or you could just leave your car there overnight and it'd be fine. You knew exactly where your car was for the entire time. And a lot of times it was cheaper than parking at a hotel, if you were staying at a hotel. And people loved them. They loved using Gate 10. And then I think it was like Tuesday, or what? I think it was Tuesday that all of a sudden Gate 10 was like, yeah, sorry, we're going to have to close one of our lots. And that's not going to be available. We're going to move to this other spot, which is like several blocks further away. And for the people that would normally walk, it's going to be a lot further. And it was 90 degrees every single day during GenCon, and the sun was out for most of it. So it was hot. So even what little walking I did outside, I was like, this is stupid. Why am I outside? But a few times I did not have a choice. And they're like, if you pay for parking, we'll still honor it at this new lot. And people are like, what the hell? And then supposedly they went from having like multiple shuttles, because that was the other thing, is they had shuttle service to and from the lot to the convention center. And with this move to this other lot, supposedly they were down to 1 shuttle. And supposedly the move was due to the city suddenly closing one of the roads and the shuttle not being able to navigate the detour. But then, like, the day after that, word started getting out that supposedly Gate 10 got bought.
Oh.
Supposedly?
So possibly quasi-hostile takeover?
I have no idea. Like, by then, it was Wednesday and I was at work all day, and then I was in it, and it didn't affect me, so I didn't pay that much attention. So I'd have to go back and look and see what the updates were. But that was the last I saw, was supposedly like they had gotten sold like overnight or something. I don't know. But suffice it to say, that put a big chink in a lot of people's parking plans, and therefore created a domino effect for the rest of us. So, so I get downtown, and I think I ended up parking at the mall, which was close enough and was fine for like the 3.5-ish hours I was downtown. Still a small fortune to pay, but it is what it is. And so I went to first I went to an event being put on by Wizards of the Coast, who, if you know your companies, they are the current owners of Dungeons and Dragons. Because the company that owned them back up until like the early 90s, I think, started going under. It almost looked like D&D was gonna like go down in flames, and thankfully Wizards of the Coast is like, here, have some money, we'll take that. But regardless of ownership, it's been 50 years since D&D was introduced to the masses, and this year was the big 50th anniversary celebration. So they were holding a private event at the Indiana Roof Ballroom, which is a venue I have not been to in ages and forgot how cool it is. It is on the top floor of the IRT, the Indiana Repertory Theater, which is an old building in downtown Indianapolis. It's an old theater, but they do live theater, a lot of like original shows and stuff like that. And up on the top floor is the ballroom, which is like, it's almost like if a medieval castle had electricity and was slightly updated in like the 20s. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very cool venue, and it definitely fit. It definitely fit for Dungeons and Dragons, because like there's like these stone, like these walls that are like the heavy texture, like they've been made out of like stone.
Mm-hmm.
And there'd be like these fake windows that were cut out and had iron bars. There'd be like these fake coat of arms hanging on the walls and stuff, and giant tapestries hanging in all over the place. So the venue is really cool. I've forgotten how cool it was because I hadn't been there in a while. But they had little themed desserts for us to nibble on, and unfortunately I got there just as they were ending their presentation. So I don't think they made any major announcements. I don't think, at least not that I have seen after the fact. I think it was more like, this is the stuff that's coming, and that's what I was they really invited us there for, was to check out the stuff that's currently or being released there at GenCon, and the stuff that's coming down the pipeline. And that includes things like the new player's manual, which is, as Holly and I were discussing, is a beast of a book. It is heavy.
Is it bigger than the 2014 or the 5e?
I don't know, because this is the first handbook I've ever gotten.
Okay. I happen to have the 5e version.
Yeah. I mean, it's big, although comparatively to this other RPG book that I got, it almost makes this look like something you could stick in your pocket. But I mean, it's almost 400 pages.
Okay, because the original player's manual with the indexes and that's like 320.
Yeah, this is 384.
Okay, so there is some more. There's some content.
Yeah, but it's got the nice gold 50th anniversary emblem on the back.
Nice.
So yeah, this is a let's see. This revised and expanded player's handbook is the essential reference for every 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons player. It contains rules for character creation and advancement, exploration, combat, equipment, spells, and much more. Create fantastic D&D heroes from the wide selection of character origins, classes, and subclasses provided. Explore ancient ruins and deadly dungeons, battle monsters while searching for legendary treasures, gain experience and power as you trek across uncharted lands with your companions. A companion to the 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide 2024 and Monster Manual 2025.
Nice.
Suggested retail $49.99. But thankfully, I did not pay $49.99. I paid nothing. This was part of our swag for those of us that went to the events. So the swag bag was really nice. Like, I was not expecting, I thought maybe we'd get like partial, like this is, a collection of new spells or whatever, and they're like, no, you're getting the new player's manual in your swag bag. And I'm like, okay. You say so. So I will say there is I would like to sit down and actually like go through it, but just flipping through it, there's the imagery in here, first of all, beautiful, but there's this one that I came across that I just love this character. I'm going to say it's a she.
Okay.
Just because they have long painted fingernails.
Okay.
And kind of a bosom.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's a subclass.
Okay.
College of Lore, and it's for bards.
Yes, I've heard that's supposed to be pretty dang cool.
But the image of this character, she just looks really cool. It's this like dark-skinned woman with kind of short hair that's kind of in a bouffant, kind of pushed forward. She's got like this cool headband on with a big feather. She's got tons of gold jewelry. She's got these huge gold earrings on. She's got on this vest, and she's got on like striped pants. She's got some knee-high boots, and then she's got like this belt with all sorts of stuff connected to it, including books. She's got books hanging from her belt, and then on her coat, which is also fabulous. Nice. She has like another like leather tooled carry-all that's holding a bunch of scrolls and looks like maybe a short dagger or something that's also covered in gold. And she's got like this book of like, I don't know, spells or songs or something, and then she's holding it open and she looks like maybe she's singing something. It's just really cool. She's on page 66, or anybody has the manual. So it looks really cool. So, but that's she's in the bard section, so, which Holly knows a thing or two about.
Yes, I have played a bard.
Yes, never underestimate the power of a hot bard. So that was cool. And then they also, in our swag bag, was because the stuff they had on display, some of it was D&D, some of it was stuff that could be used with 5e, but not necessarily Dungeons and Dragons, because there's like a lot of stuff out there that uses you can use the 5e like rules and stuff. So they had some other games and stuff on display, including this one called Talisman, cool. Which the board game looked really cool because it's like this big rectangle, and as you move in, it goes from like green and lush and water to like more desolate, and then you get the third rectangle in it, and it's like you're in the depths of hell. But it has so you use the board, and then it's got miniatures and stuff, but it has some of the same classes, like dwarves and stuff. And then they've got a cookbook that has a whole bunch of themed recipes, from appetizers to full entrees to desserts to drinks. So if you want to have a D&D themed party and you like to play in the kitchen, there you go. That being said, if you're not so much about the food, but you are about the drinks, there is a drink version called Puncheons and Flagons, which was also included in our swag bag. It's the official Dungeons & Dragons cocktail book.
Ooh.
And it's also pretty hefty. So it's not as big dimensions wise, but it's almost 200 pages. So, and it's nothing but beverages. Not just, there's some mocktails in there too. They don't have all alcohol, but it's like, yeah, if you like to get creative with your cocktails, and it's broken down by alcohol type. So
nice.
So if you know what you got, you can use it. And then there's a section for non-alcoholic. So although some of these you could probably figure out how to make them a mocktail if you wanted to. But it's also got D&D artwork in it, and it's just really cool. And then a lot of really nice pictures of some of the drinks. So
what was the other cookbook called? Was it Hero's Feast, or was it Flavors of the Multiverse? Or is it another one?
I don't remember because I don't have a shot of the cover. So
because I have the first two cookbooks. I haven't cooked anything out of them yet, but it's just like that's on my
I think this one is new. So
there's some lore in there too that's kind of cool, based on regions and that.
And then they had some merch just to show off some of the 50th anniversary stuff that they've got available, that I'm sure you could probably go buy in the vendor hall once it opened over at the convention center. So they had some of their miniatures on display. They had some larger collectibles, including this dragon who's made out of foam. It's like that hard foam that feels almost like plastic, but he's so cute.
He's like but cute.
Yeah, he's the red dragon that you associate, with Dungeons and Dragons, but he's sitting in pose, and he just looks like somebody's like if he was like a golden retriever but red, and he's just got this look of like, hey, you want to play fetch, or you want to run around the yard? How about give me some scratches behind the ears? I'm waiting patiently. How about a treat? He's just so cute. And then this game that can be used with is 5e compatible. It's called Humblewood, and all of the characters in it are all anthropomorphized animals. So there's no humans, they're all animals. And they had this plush of their mascot. He's this little owl, and he's so cute. There's a running theme throughout Rachel's adventures with GenCon this year, that if it was cute, I would find it. So, did I buy it? Not necessarily. Did I take pictures of it? Absolutely. So, at least best I could. All the pictures I took are on our Facebook page. There's an album, so you can go see those. But yeah, the owl is super cute, and they have a whole bunch of dragons that are inspired by flowers and various plants and trees, and those the artwork on that was very pretty. So I got my swag bag. So it had those books in there. It came with a GenCon badge holder, which I don't necessarily care for the style of badge holder, but I get it. Some people do. But that's still cool. And a dice tray that is collapsible. So it's like that neoprene material, and it just has snaps, so it'll lay flat. It almost looks like a mouse pad like you'd use for your computer, but it's got snaps in each corner, and you just bring the snaps together to create the square, and there you got a dice tray. And it's got like the non-slip like texture on the back side, and it says GenCon. It's got the art of a dragon wrapped around a tower as some poor individual is looking at it from down below. And then we also got some sunglasses, but I require prescriptions, so those are not going to be as useful to me, but I appreciate the sentiment. And a mug. We also got a mug, insulated mug with the gold logo on it. So that was nice. It was fun to talk to some of the folks and see some of the stuff that's coming this fall. And then some of it's early next year. Like they're coming out with a series of books for for intro for your young D&D players, like age 8.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. So if you got a youngins that you want to start introducing to the world of Dungeons and Dragons, you can go check those out. So then I shuffled on over to the Crown Plaza, where Asmodee was having a media preview for some of their games that they would be demoing and having for sale at GenCon, including several Star Wars related games. There's Star Wars Shatterpoint, which is a combination of miniatures and cards. And the miniatures are really cool. And just so happened to include some characters that, if you've been paying attention to Star Wars, might be fresh in your memory, like Ahsoka Tano and Asajj Ventress and Anakin Skywalker. So that's pretty cool. The miniatures look really good. The stupid droids, the battle droids are like, Roger. So dumb. And then they have this card game called Bounty Hunters, where you play Bounty Hunter, and when you draw your cards, you're given a bounty, and it tells you what you need to collect on that bounty. And there are cards that can hinder your progress, and then some that actually add to the amount that you could possibly get paid if you're successful in collecting your bounty. But the artwork is very reminiscent. It reminds me of the Clone Wars cartoon.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, but of course Grogu is in there. Like, hey Grogu. So it's a real like simple, more family friendly game because it's just it's like ages 10 and up, and it's just cards with little tokens to keep track of your how much. The lady that was explaining it, she was calling VHS tapes because that's what they kind of look like from a distance. But they're supposed to be, I think, like Republic credits. So, but that was kind of funny. And then one of their original IP games is this game called. Hold on, I'm gonna get it right. Because they do have some other recognizable IP. Like they also have like a card, somewhat card-based game for Lord of the Rings. It's based in the Lord of the Rings universe. So, but anyway, this original IP called Arkham Horror. That is like if Lovecraft and and other like eldritch horrors met, because like you hear the word Arkham and I think a lot of people think of Arkham Asylum from Batman.
Oh yeah, as soon as you said Arkham, that was the first thing in my mind.
No,
like,
nothing to do with Batman or Arkham Asylum. No, this is like if Lovecraft met Agatha Christie.
Okay.
So you go to this house and there's this secret society, of course, and they're having this party and everyone is trying to get their hands on this like priceless jewel that supposedly grants the wishes of whoever owns it, which I didn't want him to spoil anything, but I would not be surprised if there's like whoever does get it and doesn't know what they're getting their hands on may have some like monkey's paw type of unintended consequences, but that's my assumption. So I would not be surprised. But you are trying to, it's kind of choose your own adventure, because based on decisions you make could have unintended consequences or good consequences, because they're still going to be unintended, but they could be good or bad consequences that may hinder your progress or help you, and you may or may not end up being successful, and how long it takes you to be successful or not be successful, and who you encounter and what kind of clues and that sort of thing. So it's got some replayability because you can make different decisions, and it's got some expansions. There's already one expansion available, but like that's cool in itself. I love something that has, first of all, replayability, and get a different experience each time you play it. Second of all, I love myself a good mystery. And third of all, what's really cool is there's a whole extended universe.
Nice.
With this. So you have the game and like its expansions and all the lore and stuff that's built into like the cards and all the materials that come with the game. There's a whole mess of books.
Oh, wow.
that will give you insight to some of these characters and things that may or may not motivate them when you're playing the game, and you not know what their motivation is unless you read the book. So it's like, you don't have to read the books, but I think it's really cool that if you read the books, that you could get like a whole bunch more insight and potentially use that when making your decisions playing the game. And they're all very like Agatha Christie-esque. Just looking at the covers, it's like Cult of the Spider Queen, Lair of the Crystal Fang, you know. The Ravening Deep. So that was I thought that was really cool. I was like, I kind of wish I had people to play with. Because that's just
way.
Yes. It's like, there's so many good games out there, and you guys are so far away.
No, because I'd be, sign me up. Where's that TARDIS or interdimensional portal when we need it, you know?
Exactly. But anyway, that was really cool to be able to go to both of those events with Asmodee. I did get a bag, but the only thing in it was a water bottle, but that's okay because I've been using the water bottle actually nonstop since I got it. So I'm always down for getting a new water bottle, especially when it's one of those nice insulated ones. So yeah. So but Asmodee may or may not be sending me some stuff in the mail. They were just they asked about preferences before the event, but they weren't about to try and figure out how to coordinate that and make sure that everybody got their preferences at the event. So they're like, yeah, we'll just mail you stuff. We'll just double check with you after GenCon, and then we'll just send stuff in the mail. I'm like, that's fine. So
that makes the most sense and less hassle.
Yep. So those were my 2 events. Of course, I had to go get my badge. I got my event tickets as well before the line got way too long. It will call, so that was nice. And then I went home and proceeded to crawl into bed because I'd been up for a very long time and I was tired. And then had to get up bright and early for a doctor's appointment because I had booked the doctor's appointment like a year ago. So
when the schedule fell.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to drive all the way to the other side of town where my doctor's office is, which with the construction, pain in the tuchus. Thankfully, I was like one of the first appointments of the day, so I actually got saw on time.
Yay.
So I got in and out as quickly as possible. And then proceeded to go downtown and then drive around for what seemed like 5 million years trying to find someplace to park. Because by then it was morning rush hour. And it was Thursday, so a lot of people were still having to go into work. So finally found a place to park. Again, spent a small fortune. And then went over to the Marriott for the start of the GenCon Writer Symposium, because that's where I was going to spend most of my time this year, going to various presentations and panels with professional authors, editors, agents, a lot of people that work in the literary industry. I figured, it can't hurt to start learning stuff, even if I've not really put any words to paper yet. So in my book writing journey, and I actually found it to be quite helpful, honestly. I learned a lot of interesting things, some stuff not relevant. A lot of I would say, 90% of the people there are fiction writers. Both the professionals and the people attending trying to get information. So a lot of the information is for writing fiction, especially in the geeky category. So your speculative fiction, your sci-fi, your fantasy, your romantasy, that sort of thing. But they did have a few panels specifically for nonfiction related stuff, which was nice. Although I learned that if you want to be a nonfiction writer in any genre, if you're not a celebrity, you better have one hell of a social media following.
Wow.
To get anyone's attention. So yeah, I could use some more followers. I got time. Like I said, I barely put words to, anything remotely looking like parts of a book in written form at this point. But eventually I'm going to get there, and apparently I'm going to need a much bigger social media following. I was like, is that just one social media platform, or that could be like multiples added together? And they were like, no, that's like one. And I'm like, oh crap.
Silly.
Yeah. So that's fun. But yeah, I got some time. I'm not on a deadline. That's a nice thing. So yeah, I got, and the writer symposium, they give you a little swag bag. And each of the swag bags has a book from one of the authors, but you don't know which one until you just pick a bag. So I have no idea if the book I got is any good and the author's any good, but hey, it's a free book. So that's not too bad. I'll give it a shot. And then I had a little bit of a break, like a short break. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to vendor hall. Because again, emails, press, couple emails from companies saying, hey, stop by our booth. If you're a member of the press, and chat. And I was like, okay, cool. So that's what I did. And one of the booths I stopped at is a smaller independent company. It's a husband and wife team. And I talked to the wife. She's really cool. Hopefully connect with her again now that the madness is over. To talk to her about, being a woman owning a gaming company, being a designer, that sort of thing. Very much in our wheelhouse. But they gave me a complimentary copy of one of their games called Cool. Little party game. So that was very nice of them. Appreciate it. Also, there was some candy in there. I ate all of it. Sugar, so it makes you survive.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Because I don't do coffee, so I have to get my energy from somewhere. In this case, it's sugar. And then another booth that I stopped by is this, oh my god, this company who have their own RPG called Rise of the Drow. And it actually started out, the publisher is AAW Games. And it started out as multiple smaller books of like, where's my notes? I think they said it was 3 basic modules of about 24 pages each. And they realized that it was growing pretty big, so they decided to combine the whole thing into this really, really nice collector's edition.
It's gorgeous. The book stuff.
Yes, it is beautiful. It is 544 pages.
Yes.
So this makes the D&D manual look like your car's owner's manual.
Yeah.
This is like the phone book.
if you love the Dritz Jordan Drow stuff, this book is for you.
Yeah, it's really cool. They had several members of their team there, and actually that was the first time they had all got to be together in the same place at the same time.
Cool.
Was at GenCon, because they're international, spread out. Because the first gentleman that we're speaking to, he's from England, so they're spread out all over the place. And it was actually his very first GenCon. And he's like, this is my first and probably last convention, at least in the United States, probably. Because I'm sure it's a pain in the tuchus, traveling internationally. But they gave me a copy of the book, and they signed it on the inside. So that's really cool. But it's this whole thing with this witch sorceress lady, and you go through it, and it also kind of has a choose your own adventure element to it. So decisions you make will determine which direction you go. But there's puzzles you have to solve, and different locations and creatures and stuff. And she's very much like most typical baddies in these types of things, where you think you got her beat, and then she's like, "Ha ha! Surprise!"
Miss me? You thought it was gone? Yes, it was.
Yeah. So, but this, oh my God, this book, I could probably just sit here and just read it and look at it, because again, it's very cool. Although I have to make sure to skip over the spots where there's spiders.
Yeah.
Spiders are unfortunately featured quite heavily in this particular adventure,
because the drow have a certain goddess that they worship, and that just happens to be in the form of an arachnid.
Yeah. So yeah, the thing on the back, it says, tonight a ceremony of light is taking place on the surface. Meanwhile, a world away in the city of spiders, a drow matron solidifies a pact with soul-consuming entities who require great sacrifices in trade for unimaginable power. Drow eyes turn to the surface. This book contains a mega adventure and set-taking characters across the surface and into the depths of the world. Adventurers will meet unique denizens, battle horrors of the underworld, explore epic locations, and fight to stop the rise of the drow. Compatible with the world's most popular role-playing game, this 5th edition adventure takes 4 to 6 heroes from 1st to 15th level.
Wow, yeah, that's...
Yep. So, woo! Yeah. So yeah, but it's got all the maps, and it's got your beasts and your oh god, spiders! There's other bugs too. Oh, there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's cool. And some of your other beings you might come across: wraiths, wights, eels. So, yeah. Oh my god, that's so heavy. Just between that, like, they gave me that, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so heavy. Why am I carrying this? But it was okay. They were really cool. They were all very nice. So then I ran across Beth from the Crafty Nerd. Somehow, in the madness of 70,000 people attending GenCon, I managed to run into people I know. So,
hey, that's a good thing.
yeah. But I ran into her and one of her roommates. And I got a Crafty Nerd ribbon to go on my collection, on my badge. Crafty Nerd, I found her. So got that added to my badge. Also got a peek at the balloon sculpture, which at the middle of the day Thursday, I had no idea what it was going to be. It was just a blob at that point. But it's always fun to watch the balloon sculpture take place over the course of the weekend. And then did a few more writer symposium, presentations, and this was not a writer symposium, but it was still really cool. Is women and non-binary leaders in gaming.
Oh, cool.
That was really cool. To attend. No, that was later. No, the first one I did was Breaking Up the Box, the women leading tabletop games into the future. And that included Elizabeth Hargrave, who is she is kind of, if you know like your tabletop games, she is a well-known name because she created the game Wingspan, which was one of the first like not castles, dungeons, creatures, battle spells type games in the market that actually like did anything. So she kind of, made people realize that not all tabletop games have to be like fight for your life. So Tonya, which I did not get her last name, unfortunately, she works at Hasbro. But she, I forget what position she is, what her title is at Hasbro, but she's the first woman to have it at Hasbro, which is pretty cool considering bro is literally in the name. Carly, who is one of the founders of Exploding Kittens, which we love Exploding Kittens over here. Deidre Cross, she works at Moose Games now. And Lisa Penrose, who works at Ravensburger. So yeah, they talked about women in tabletop gaming and stuff like that. So that was really cool. That was put on by Women in Toys, which I learned about last year randomly just by a pin somebody had on their lanyard. I was like, what is this? And they're like, it's Women in Toys. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna Google that later. So I'm gonna have to look these ladies up and dig more into what they've done. So that was cool. And then I met with Amanda from Ravensburger, or at least Ravensburger's PR. And of course, Ravensburger last year was the hot commodity because of Lorcana, which caused a whole just mess of all sorts of stuff last year. So not so much this year. They were not the ones creating huge lines. For the D&D manual was one of those things, creating long lines, among other games. But actually the day before, Wednesday evening, it arrived while I was still out, so I was sitting on my doorstep when I got home, was my copy of the Disney edition of Chronicles of Light,
cool.
which is a new tabletop game where you play Disney heroines, some princesses, not so female characters. And right now with the what comes in the box is Belle, Violet from The Incredibles, Maid Marian from Robin Hood, and Moana. But the idea is that this like evil entity has come into the kingdom and is like shrouding everything in darkness, and it's up to the characters to work together to defeat the darkness so that the entire kingdom doesn't get completely enshrouded in darkness, so they could live happily ever after. So they were demoing that, which was cool to see how it was played, because my version's still sitting with the box sealed shut. I haven't been home long enough to do anything. So there's that. And then they were also showing off a game that wasn't Disney. It's like a party game involving pigeons. Where you collect pigeons, but while you're collecting your pigeons, you're trying to keep the other people from knocking your pigeons off and stealing your pigeons. I don't know why pigeons were like a thing this year. Like I saw more than one pigeon related game. So I don't know what's going on there, but for some reason pigeons were a thing. So yeah, it was fun to talk to her. And they were promoting the newest addition to the Lorcana kind of family of games. Stuff under the Lorcana line. Like they just since last year they've released like some villain related stuff. So like there's a whole thing with Ursula. There's one with the evil queen from Snow White. But there is, I forget the name of it. I have to go back and listen to the audio with my chat with Amanda. But there's a new edition coming to the Lorcana line that I believe will be available starting at D23 Expo. But
cool.
don't completely quote me on that. So, but I believe that's what she said. I think. So that's pretty. So if you're going to be at D23 Expo and you'd like playing Lorcana, you may want to check out this new thing. And she said actually this new edition, if you are like really new to just that style of gaming, might actually be easier to start with that instead of jumping straight into the Lorcana starter set that I got last year for Ravensburger. So yeah. So if you've never played like a deck building type game before, then you might want to hold off until you can get your hands on the new thing. So then I had to leave and come home so I could do Gold Standards. I managed to get home with just enough time to eat something and record Gold Standard and then go to bed. That again, been a very long day. And then Friday, I wanted to get down there early, but because of some doctor's appointment, I had to have some blood work done. And the blood work had to be done while I was fasting. Which meant that I needed to do it early in the morning. so that I could hurry up and get it over with and eat. So I made an appointment for local lab at the earliest available appointment I could get on that short a notice. So I had to go and do that. Then I could finally go downtown again, find someplace to park. And then lather, rinse, repeat with, again, more writer symposium presentations. So that included embrace your weirdness, which I'm all for. That's like my motto. So that was fun. And then writing geeky nonfiction, again, very pertinent to me. So that was nice. And then Friday was the women and non-binary leaders in gaming, which I unfortunately did not get the names of any of. I got the names of the companies they're with, but I didn't get the names of the ladies, except for the one person I actually know, who's a freelancer. So I messaged Sarah after, and I'm like, can I have the names of the ladies who are on the panel with you? And she's like, here's one of them. I'm like, oh, no hurry. Like, just whenever you get the chance, because I knew she was busy. She was actually working the convention there with promoting one of the latest games that she had worked on. So, but that was cool. I didn't know she was going to be on that panel, and I saw her and I'm like, hey, I know you. And she's like, hey, I know you. That's always fun. Again, somehow managed to run into people I know unintentionally. And then a few more quick trips to the vendor hall. Like, I would get like maybe an hour of free time in between the stuff I'd scheduled for myself, and I'd go to the vendor hall and try to walk as many aisles as I could. And honestly, you're like, oh, it's an hour. That's tons of time. No, not at GenCon. Not when there's 70,000 people there. No, an hour gets you maybe an aisle or two. And that's if you don't stop for very long to look at stuff and talk about things. So that being said, I did get to see the balloon sculpture once it was complete. It was very cool. It's a bunch of gnomes in a tree stump. It was a giant tree stump, and it had grass and flowers and butterflies, a little snail, a little fairy, and they're all made out of balloons and these giant gnomes, because it was all in to promote well, I'll get to that. It was to promote one of the games, new games being presented at GenCon. So I did do a little bit of shopping about some Christmas. Never too early to start thinking about Christmas. I did buy some Christmas presents for some people, so I'm not going to say what I bought. I did manage to squeeze in lunch at my favorite used to be secret hole in the wall eating place.
Not anymore.
Apparently not so secret anymore because they were packed. And also it's a bar technically, and usually they're supposed to be 21 and older, but I guess because it's GenCon, they decided to that not be the case. So there were people with children in there, which immediately made it more crowded. But thankfully I'm one person, and I managed to get a seat at the bar, and I knew exactly what I wanted to eat because I eat pretty much the same thing I eat every time I go there. And it was fabulous as always. So not going to complain a whole lot there. I'm still not going to tell you about it. I'm not going to, advertise it too much. Hopefully maybe the crowds will die down next time. So anyway, and then managed one more kind of block of wandering the vendor hall. came across the Cards Against Humanity booth, where they were promoting their new game Head Trip with the help of a Queen Elizabeth II impersonator.
Interesting.
Yes. I was all like, that's supposed to be the Queen. Oh, I'm stopping for this. And she would, pick people, and she would ask them a question, and then they would have to give their best argument, argue their answer, and if she was convinced, then you could win a free copy of the game. So, which I didn't even about to try too. It was way more fun to watch her interact because she had a lot of sass. That she may have taken digs at every single one of her children, especially Andrew. And even then, she even mentioned several times the fact that she's supposed to be dead. Technically, she's dead. But that being said, I did manage to get her attention and showed her my lovely phone case. I was like, I'm sure you appreciate my phone case, because of course it's a corgi. And she's like, oh, absolutely. And then of course I showed her my corgi tattoos, and she enjoyed it. So we got to talking about corgis, and how wonderful they are as a breed. So I got to talk about corgis with the Queen. For a few minutes, so that was quite fun. So then I went to one of the side rooms, where one of the smaller game companies that I'd never heard of before, they had other games that they were showing off too, but their spotlight was on this game called Rock Hard 1977. It's DeVere Games, which I don't think they are an American game, but American company, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it's Rock Hard 1977, and the creator. Let's see if you know your classic rock. You should probably get this, Holly, I would expect. But do you know who Jackie Fox is?
Wasn't she part of the Runaways?
Yes. Yes, she designed this game. She was there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But some lucky people got pulled from the crowd and did vintage 70s rock karaoke, and cool. Essentially sing for their chance to win a signed copy of the game, signed by Jackie.
Nice.
Cool. So, and all the songs were from 76 to 77 to 78. And everybody did their best. Karaoke's not the easiest.
No.
But of course I knew all the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am a hippie in a past life. Probably. More than likely. I am Stevie Nicks' sister from another mother in a different time period. But they sang songs like David Bowie's Heroes.
Nice.
TNT.
By
AC/DC.
Yeah.
Cherry Bomb, which is the Runaways.
Yep.
And I felt sorry for this guy, but it is what it is. Somebody to Love by Queen.
Oh boy.
Which, really, if you're gonna make somebody sing a Queen song for karaoke, pick one of Brian's songs where he sings lead, not Freddie.
No.
Especially not this song.
My car.
Yeah. Like, seriously, I'm in love with my car. I'm pretty sure most anybody could get away with that halfway decently, unless you just can't carry a tune. But like,
Right.
and somebody to love is not
No, that's
easy.
that
That is primo Freddie Mercury showing his range. So yeah. The guy ended up, it was all guys that got drawn, but the guy that got assigned, because they didn't choose their song, it got assigned to them. But the guy that got Cherry Bomb, his voice was actually going, so he had his wife come and sing most of it, and then he would jump in with the Cherry Bomb doing different voices that his vocal cords were still capable of doing. So and they ended up winning. So yeah, so that was pretty cool. And that was fun to sit there and take a load off and sing along with all these songs. I'm like, I know all these songs. And Walk This Way. That was the other one. Aerosmith, Walk This Way. Which again, know all the words. Yep. So Saturday, which was my last day, thankfully, finally able to get up early enough to get downtown and get a decent parking spot and not pay a small fortune. Because on Saturday, the parking that's only available to state employees during the week is now available to us non-state employees on the weekend. So there's like a whole parking garage that's suddenly now available.
Yay!
That's connected. So I was able to park in that garage and stay connected, literally and figuratively, to it connected to the Marriott, which then connects to the convention center. So I didn't have to go outside unless I absolutely had to, which was nice. So I got there early enough that the food trucks were just getting started for the day. So my breakfast consisted of a chocolate chip cupcake from the Flying Cupcake, and a 44-ounce flavored sparkling water from Critical Hit Soda.
Nice.
So, yeah. Which the Critical Hit Soda, if soda is your thing, which it used to be mine back in the day when I was in college, I had like a semester there in college, undergrad, where I was working full time or close to full time, going to school full time, and had an internship at the same time. I was living on gas station fountain drinks, Pepsi, usually, and Krispy Kreme donuts. That is how I survived for an entire semester. Looking back at that now, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I'm glad I did not have a heart attack. But ever since then, I try not to drink soda, with few exceptions. That being said, thankfully, Critical Hit Soda, even though soda is in their name, while they do have soda options and they also have energy drink option, they also offer sparkling water that you can get flavored. So that's what I did. So all the fun of the bubbles without the sugar rush, because the flavoring was actually actual fruit. So
nice.
Just sparkling water with bits of strawberry and pineapple in it, and a lemon wedge. So, which kind of balanced out the chocolate chip cookie cupcake with chocolate frosting on top. That was my food. But I finally made my way to the area that connects the convention center to Lucas Oil Stadium, where they have True Dungeon in the basement, because they have like a little makers area there for folks that want to sell stuff but can't afford to have their booth in like the main vendor hall. So it gives people opportunity to shop, and people walk by and see their stuff if they're walking to and from Lucas Oil, because there's stuff in Lucas Oil like True Dungeon and some gaming on the floor in Lucas Oil. So crazy to think that like a month ago, that same football floor contained several Olympic-sized swimming and diving pools.
Oh, wow.
because we held the Olympic trials for
right.
swimming and diving, and they put the pools inside the football stadium. So it's wild to think that that's what a month ago that they were having like Olympic trials with literal swimming pools on top of our football field. But anyway, but Tony Troxel, friend of the show, formerly of Geeking in Indiana, now Geek Building, was there because the company he works for in his day job had a booth because they have a gaming app. They have an app for tabletop gaming that allows you to, like, keep track of like your assets and stuff like that.
Oh,
But
nice.
it's accessible. They want it to be as accessible as possible. So if you use like a screen reader or something like that, it's supposed to be compatible with that. So
Cool.
so that was really cool. And I hadn't seen Tony in ages. So got to chat with him for a little bit. And then his boss showed up. So I was like, okay, I'll leave you alone. But by then it was time for me to go into the vendor hall for my other scheduled appointment with Andrew Esposito from the op. I still want to call him the OP just because that makes me think of the OC, the TV show, even though I never watched that, but I just know it's a thing. But no, it's the op. And it was good to catch up with him and have him show off Gnome Hollow. That's like that was their big feature game, and that's what the balloon sculpture was. It was in coordinate. They worked alongside the guy that did the balloon sculpture. It's a new guy doing the balloon sculpture because the guy who's done the balloon sculptures for years, unfortunately, has had to step away due to health issues. But thankfully they found someone to take over who's obviously talented as well with the balloon sculptures. So yeah, they teamed up with him and the op to create a balloon sculpture that was reminiscent of Gnome Hollow, where you are a gnome and you work at resources. It's kind of a resource type game. And then they have another game which is kind of similar in theme called Stock Exchange.
Okay.
As opposed to Stock Exchange, where it's essentially you're playing the stock market but with flowers.
Oh, cool.
So you are trading bulbs and trying to increase your portfolio with different types of flowers and quantities and stuff, but it could go bust if you're not careful. So you're essentially playing the stock market, but you're trading but with flowers. So it was really cool. What was really cool though is the op, their booth, to save space, had an upper level.
Oh, cool.
So it looked like this giant like house. And the upper level was roped off, and that's where they were doing like their meets with like the press and stuff. So I was able to go up there and chat with Andrew and see the view from above. It was very cool. I saw some people I knew off in the distance. It's like, wait a minute, I know that person, but it's like, I'm up here, they're down there, they're not gonna know where I am. But yeah, so got to see those. If they've got their new Avatar: The Last Airbender licensed game, which is cool. They've got a couple new party games that are new. And I may or may not have gotten a preview of the game that's actually going to be the feature game for them at GenCon next year.
Oh, cool.
Which
Thank you.
I will say. I mean, he said I was allowed to record, so I do have it on record, but I'm not going to say anything. But I'm just going to say that it's not a recognizable IP. It's not a licensed game. So
Okay.
it's original. So, but it looks cute. It looks really cute. So, and then they had some other stuff that's on display that's due out this fall. Like they're coming out with Muppets Clue.
Oh, nice.
And Dune Risk.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. And so that and then I did a few more writers symposium panels. One was just a Q&A with one of their featured novel or one of the featured writers that she writes she actually writes nonfiction. Her book Hood Feminism. Her name's Mickey Kendall. Was a New York Times bestseller. So that's pretty cool. So she was cool. She's from Chicago. She's like, I take no shit from anybody. She's like, I'm from, I was like, I'm from Chicago. Y'all can't frighten me. She's like, I'm from the hood. So then I was actually finally able to go back and give more than, than an hour to the vendor hall. Although I did run and get lunch at one point, from the food trucks. But I managed to finish. I at least wanted to make sure that I went down every row at least once.
Right.
So I can at least say that I did that. And along the way, I managed to spot not one, not two, not three, but 4 different corgis.
Oh, wow.
In various forms or fashions. I found a stuffed one that very much looks like a corgi in a doghouse that is part of the display for some game called Super Kawaii Pets. So they had a TV screen in their booth, and it was just showing video of cute animals, cute pets, a lot of kittens and puppies and stuff. But they also had some stuffed animals on display as well, and one of them happened to be a corgi. And I can safely say that corgi, as far as I know, went home with the company.
It did not mysteriously happen into your backpack.
It did not mysteriously disappear. Not by me, at least. I know nothing. And then I spotted another one on the box of a game called Picture Perfect. And the whole premise of this game is you have a scene and you have these pieces for different guests or different people attending a party. So you have some of the guests, you have like the wait staff, you have this corgi, and a bunch of people, and you have to arrange them in a particular order to get points.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, like, you're playing against other people who have cards that say that that the characters want to be in a certain arrangement, and yours may say something that contradicts that. Like, like the woman in the blue dress doesn't want to be anywhere near the woman in the red dress. But you may have a card that says they want to be right next to each other. So, and you don't know what the other person's card says. So you're just like, you try to get all it set up to get it as close as possible to the card you have in your hand to get the most points. But there's a corgi. So I have no idea if the game's any good, but there's a corgi on the box and in the game. So then I found a Squishmallow corgi, because those are a thing. I'm sure at this point everybody's seen the Squishmallow type toys where they're very like round,
yes,
very soft and very squishy. You can buy like huge ones at Costco for like $50. Double as a small child's bed.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a corgi. Then I found a corgi that was part of a pin set for some person's booth. They had a set for cats of all the classes, all your D&D classes, and then it had a set for dogs.
Oh, nice.
And the corgi is the monk.
Makes sense.
I would like to argue that the husky, instead of being the barbarian, should be the bard.
Yep.
Have you ever heard a husky sing the song of their people?
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because it's a dachshund that's the bard.
No.
Yeah.
Dachshund, in my opinion, is more bitey.
Yeah. So, I don't know what all of them are. This looks like a Boston Terrier is the rogue.
Okay.
Like a sheepdog is the druid. They've got the husky is the barbarian. The corgi's a monk. The dachshund is the bard. Like a basset is the wizard. The sorcerer, I think, is a poodle. The paladin is like a golden retriever, looking very happy to be a paladin. The ranger is like a border collie. The fighter is a Shiba. The cleric is, I think that's maybe supposed to be like a German shepherd. And the warlock is a Chihuahua.
I can see that, yeah.
Yep. Yes, I could see a wizard being a Chihuahua because they think that they're bigger and more powerful than they actually are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the warlock.
Definitely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would like to argue that the husky really should be the bard. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yes.
Like the barbarian should be something like really like solid, like
Doberman Pinch or
or
a pit, or
a boxer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but what do I know? Not my company.
Right.
So by then I was about done. So I slowly waddled my way out. I did stop by the little mini museum that they had set up, showing off vintage D&D relics that I guess are all part of one person's personal collection. And that was really cool because they had stuff going back to like the very beginning.
Oh, nice.
Of Dungeons and Dragons. So from early GenCons to pre-GenCon. But yeah, it was really cool to see some of the different editions and how like the artwork has changed through the years and the size of the book has gotten bigger over the years. But that was really cool. And they had like I said, from the very beginning to like super recent, like this year's manual. So that was cool. And then I was like, I'm done. So I made my way back to the car and went home and proceeded to die. So. Oh, but it was fun. I will give it that. As exhausting as it is, it's a lot of fun. I did buy some stuff. Unfortunately, being unemployed and like I said, I do have a new job. I started that job literally last week, the week of GenCon. So I've not gotten that first paycheck yet. So I didn't get to buy as much as I would have liked. But that's okay. I was able to buy, like I said, a few Christmas presents. I bought a few inexpensive books for myself. I bought a bunch of tea. I bought so much tea. It's not even funny. Because now I need tea that's got caffeine in it. Like I said, I don't drink coffee, but I do drink tea. So I picked up some stuff from Dryad, because I always pick up stuff from Dryad, but then there was also a new company selling tea, so I bought some of their stuff because it smelled really good. Hopefully it tastes as good as it smells. Yeah, overall, I had a lot of fun. Like I said, thank you to GenCon for allowing me to have a badge for free. And thank you to all the companies that reach out. I'm sorry that I was not able to schedule time with, everyone that I wanted to, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, some of these companies, for whatever reason, they don't send out emails till sometimes the week of.
Oh boy.
And
then you're
like,
booked.
sorry, most people have already got their schedule locked down by then. They've already, if they want to play games, they've already bought tickets for those, and they're timed and stuff like that. Or, they make sure they put stuff in, slots in their schedule to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe take a power nap in a corner somewhere. So, I think maybe, if it's possible, I maybe am hoping next year to maybe actually get a hotel room, and see if that makes a difference, because not working downtown, it's a lot more work coming to and from home. Granted, I will still likely have to work, because unfortunately the first week of school is always, for the foreseeable future, is always going to be the same week as GenCon. And I don't get paid vacation. So I had to take 2 days off essentially for GenCon, because I didn't know I was going to have a job when, I planned for GenCon. So thankfully, because it was planned ahead of time, they let me go ahead and take the 2 days off. But that's not going to be the case going forward. But maybe if I'm going between work and a hotel instead of work, home, downtown, work, back, forth, home, downtown, this place, that way, downtown, that maybe that'll make things a little easier, because then I could just leave the hotel, go to work, come back to the hotel, and then I'm there for the rest of the night. I could still do stuff. Thankfully, I get out of work early enough. I could still do late afternoon, evening events.
Yeah.
And then I would be good to go for Saturday and Sunday. Because I did not go yesterday. It was that's not happening. I'm sorry. Even if I knew I could park right up front and it wouldn't cost me a dime, my feet were not having it. They were done. So I had to break out the compression gear.
Ooh, yeah.
To help with the foot strain and swelling. So
your doggies were not happy.
No, they were not happy at all. So, but yeah. And I look forward to seeing what, if anything else, comes in the mail from anybody else. And depending on what comes, I mean, we've still got a bit of time before we hit 500 episodes, but I think 475 also sounds like a really good number to maybe give away some stuff.
You were reading my mind there, Rich. I was thinking the thing.
So we'll see what Mr. Postman decides to deliver, and from there we can see about maybe doing a giveaway of some sort, maybe. So stay tuned to this channel.
Yes.
So yeah. So if any of our listeners also went to GenCon and want to tell us about your experience, you can send us feedback. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, which is thefiveishfangirls.com, where you can connect with all of our various social media accounts. As I said, all of the pictures that I took are in an album on our Facebook. I also have quite a bit of video that obviously I need to go through that and edit it into something cohesive. But I hopefully plan to do that and have that up in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. We'll see. And of course, the link to book club. So if you want to go participate in this month's discussion, you can go do that. The link is also on our website. If you would like to financially support us, we always greatly appreciate it. You can become a regular sponsor via Patreon, or if you want to do just a one-time donation, you can do that via Ko-fi or via PayPal. Links are also on our website. We also have merch for you to purchase as well. So I am very tired, and but it is what it is. It means I'm still alive. How about that? That's a good sign. If I'm feeling something, that means I'm still alive. I will give myself that. And to all the folks with any of those companies that are headed to Anaheim for D23 this weekend, I am so sorry. Have fun. Hopefully you get a little rest after D23 Expo. So, but I have dinner staring at me, so we are going to sign off this week.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
Wisconsin, home of the old GenCon. The OG GenCon.
Yes.
And I am Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana, home of current GenCon. Amazing how that works. It's like we planned it or something. We really did it. It's just one of those things that was worked out that way. We're all the better for it. Yeah. Come, folks. Come to GenCon next year. Come play with me. Dates are on the website. Not our website, GenCon's website. Start planning now. You'll need to. Mm-hmm. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefiveishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FiveishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.